Hello! In this video, we will be overviewing the digestive system to prepare you for the upcoming lecture content, which we will delve deep into the histology of the structures of the oral cavity. By the end of the video, you should be able to describe the boundaries of the oral cavity, list the periodontal structures of an adult tooth, and finally, list the cells that contribute to the structures of an adult tooth. The digestive system functions to metabolize ingested food to provide nutrients and energy for the body. When food is ingested, it first enters into the oral cavity, which consists of two parts, the oral vestibule and the oral cavity proper. The oral vestibule is located posterior to the lips and cheeks and anterior to the teeth. The lips are muscular folds which assist in speech and ingestion. They are covered externally by skin and internally by mucosa, which is a mucous membrane that lines the entire digestive tract. We will discuss oral mucosa in our upcoming lecture. The oral cavity proper is located posterior and medial to the teeth and is occupied by the tongue. The oral cavity proper communicates with the oropharynx posteriorly. In this coronal section, we can see food passing through the oral vestibule, past the teeth, and entering into the oral cavity proper. The roof of the oral cavity proper is formed anteriorly by the hard palate and posteriorly by the soft palate, which continues on to form the uvula. Once the food enters into the oral cavity, it will encounter the tongue and the teeth. The tongue is a muscular organ that functions to assist with taste, swallowing, speech, and mastication, which is the process of breaking down food into smaller pieces. The tongue has a dorsal and ventral surface, which divide into the body and the root. They are separated by the terminal sulcus. The body of the tongue is covered with mucosal elevations called lingual papillae. There are 4 types of papillae and are located in specific regions of the tongue. We will go over the histology of each papillae in our lecture. The valate papillae are located most posteriorly on the body of the tongue and directly anterior to the terminal sulcus. The foliate papillae are located on the sides of the body of the tongue and also anterior to the terminal sulcus. The filiform papillae are found on the entire body of the tongue and are most numerous. The fungiform papillae are also found all throughout the body of the tongue, but are less numerous. A normal adult human has 32 teeth set in tooth sockets called dental alveoli. They are arranged in 2 arches along the bones of the maxilla and mandible. The teeth are used for mastication and assist with speech. Each tooth has a crown that projects from the gingiva. The crown of the tooth is covered by enamel, which is the hardest structure in the human body. In a developing tooth, ameloblasts are responsible for secreting enamel into interlocking rods. The root of the tooth are conical structures that are set into the dental alveoli. The roots are covered by cementum, which is similar to bone, except it is avascular. Cementum is secreted by cementoblasts. The enamel and cementum of the crown and the root, respectively, join together at the neck of the tooth. The majority of the tooth consists of dentin and lies within the crown and the root. Dentin is calcified tissue that is harder than bone and is initially predentin, which is secreted by odontoblast in the developing tooth. The odontoblasts have long processes that project into the dentin and are housed within a structure called dentinal tubules. The odontoblasts continue to secrete predentin throughout the adult life and maintain the dentin matrix. Dentin surrounds the pulp cavity, which supplies vasculature and nervous innervation. The pulp cavity narrows in each root, which is called the root canal. The periodontal ligaments connect the alveolar bone of the maxilla or mandible to the cementum of each tooth. During mastication, saliva is produced to keep the mucosa moist. Lubricate food during mastication. The saliva also functions to aid in digestion of carbohydrates and lipids. There are 3 bilateral pairs of the major salivary glands and numerous minor salivary glands. The parotid gland is the largest of the salivary glands and is located anterior to the ears. The submandibular glands are located along the body of the mandible. The sublingual glands are located on the floor of the mouth. Each salivary gland has a ductal system to release saliva into the oral cavity. After the food undergoes mastication, it is then swallowed and transported to the stomach through the long tube called the esophagus. The stomach will continue the process of digestion by releasing gastric fluids and begin churning. The food will then be released into the small intestine to complete the process of digestion. The small intestine will be assisted by the secretions of the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas to aid in digestion. The small intestine will absorb nutrients and then enter into the large intestine. The large intestine functions to absorb water and electrolytes and forms indigestible products into feces. The feces then exit the body via the anus. To recap, food enters into the oral cavity, undergoes mastication with help from the teeth and the salivary glands. It will travel down the esophagus into the stomach. It is then transferred to the small intestine and finishes the process of digestion with the help of the secretions from the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. The large intestine will absorb water and electrolytes and eliminate waste via the anus. This concludes the overview of the gross anatomy of the digestive system. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in class.